Thanks to all of y'all for coming out tonight and being here on Zoom to listen to our speaker, Amber Brooks. Just let me give a brief introduction here. She's a senior managing editor at a company called Digital Brands that's based out of Gainesville, Florida. Go Gators! And it's a really interesting company that does a lot of stuff with dating sites and dating advice and dating apps. Um, and she works there running a team of freelance writers, um, and has was once a an English um, Bachelor's of Arts degree student, just like many of y'all at the University of Florida. And she also double majored in political science and later got a master's degree in political science with a certificate in American campaigns. And we're just excited to have her here tonight with us to talk about what sort of employment opportunities are out there in this sort of tech space for people with an English degree, like many of y'all here tonight. Please feel free to ask questions. You can utilize the chat, or you can speak up and let us ask it orally like that. I'll try to monitor the chat as we go, and we'll have Amber speak for a little bit, and then there'll be time for questions. Yeah, just feel free to interact with our speaker as much as possible. And Amber, we'll go ahead and let you take it away.
Cool. Yeah, hi, it's great to be here. Thanks for asking me. Yeah, as you said, I got hired at Digital Brands in 2015. It was a monster.com email that pinged me to it. And I was just hired to write, I was contracted to write. I wasn't even like on staff. I was just writing store descriptions for Deal Crunch, their coupon site, which doesn't exist anymore. But the company basically like builds websites, and they're always hungry for content. And so I just like wrote a lot, and they appreciated that. So they kept moving me on up, and I've written for, they have 6 sites: Card Rates, Bad Credit, Dating Advice, Dating News, Hosting Report, Hosting Advice. So I write on the dating side because I enjoy that the most. And right now, instead of writing, I'm actually doing more editing, and I have 6 freelancers who turn in content to me, and I approve it and publish it, do social media, all that kind of stuff, and arrange interviews and collaborations with other websites, and get content that way. We basically just, we're a website company, so we are hungry for content all the time, and like it's never enough. So that's why being an English major is very helpful to me, because I'm used to writing, and I can recognize good writing. And yeah, so that's been really good. A lot of my colleagues come from more journalist backgrounds, and I think the difference between them and me is that I take more of a storyteller take on it, because I always love to write, and that was always kind of a passion of mine that I didn't know that was going to be practical as a job. So that's why I did campaigning and political science also, because I thought that might be a little more practical. But, you know, I think at some point you just have to kind of shoot for the fences and follow your passion. So that's what I did. So I applied to Digital Brands kind of on a lark. And I think it just worked out because I was passionate about it, and that's something that's very valuable to the company, like being passionate and consistent, and yeah, just like good at churning out content. So yeah, my company is all remote right now, which is very nice for me because I can kind of go where I please. And we've switched to a 4-day work week, which is also really nice. And yeah, the startup atmosphere is just a little bit unreliable, or like not unreliable. It's like a roller coaster, I guess, because we have really good months, then we have really bad months, and we just kind of have to keep changing our process. And it's the best employees are the ones who are agile enough to do whatever. I've run the freelancers. I've also written content. I've edited content. I've done interviews of different companies. Yeah, a prominent one is the guy who invented the eHarmony algorithm. But yeah, we're always kind of looking for new ways to, get attention on the internet where attention is always wandering. So yeah, being an English major, I think really helped prepare me to just always be writing and always looking for a story. And yeah, I think that it didn't seem like it was going to be something that worked out, but it did for me. So yeah, I guess to tell you a little bit about the applying process, the application process is we did 2 interviews, and the first one is kind of like, what's your experience and what they expect and what I expect. And then we did a trial article that they read, and then if they like it, they did a second interview, and that was kind of more about company culture and the fit. Because we're such a small team at Digital Brands, we only have right now I think it's 14 people, but we vary between 12 and 18. So like every individual person is so important. And yeah, I've sat on those interviews since, and it's always good to kind of get to know the person that you're working with, because we're so collaborative as editors and as writers, and all of us kind of do both writing and editing at different points. So yeah, I love my job, and I could probably talk about it for a long time. But yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions for me.
Yes, we can open it up already to questions. If anyone has anything specific, just feel free to.
Something that I also wanted to say that I did not say was if I could go back and like give myself advice as a 22-year-old, I would say like your career isn't a straight line. What kind of advice would you give to editors? I think that as an editor, you have to be detail oriented, and you kind of get like a formula, right, of what a good sentence is. And I think it's more instinctual sometimes, but as I've like worked, we have a really good editor who worked at the Gainesville Sun, and what she does is she's just kind of goes through sentences and breaks them down by like modifying clause, and she's really good at finding the cadence that the article needs. Which your English class is most? Oh, that's a good question. Well, I took 3 creative writing classes actually in college, and those are all very helpful at not only practicing my writing, but at practicing taking edits from other people. Because as a writer, you're going to get edits all the time, and sometimes they're going to be blunt and sometimes they're going to be polite, but you have to be able to just kind of take it without taking it personally, and moving on and learning from it, and learning what's valuable and what's kind of specific to that person. So the creative writing classes I thought were very helpful, but I loved all my classes. I took a lot of different classes at UF, and I really loved to read. That always helped with the writing. And yeah, I don't know. I think that also I took an intro to professional development class as a freshman, and that was very helpful for the applications, because I think putting together a resume is different than creative writing, because you are trying to be very brief and targeted. And that was something that I didn't know a lot about. And yeah, it helped me to kind of study it a little bit and get the right, I don't know. I always want to write too much, I guess. And that's not something you need to do on your resume. You want to be more like bullet points and to the point. So
Let me ask you a question sort of connected to that, about that movement from the kind of writing you were doing as an English major to the kind of writing that you do for the web. Um, can you talk about the differences between that? Like, what did you have to, what did you learn, you know, both the positive and the negative? What did you learn from that writing you did as an English major for your literature classes or your creative writing classes? And how did things have to change for this job that you're doing now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's similar in that a lot of the times I'm having to break down information and analyze and kind of put together different resources because we'll link out to different studies and things like that sometimes. So I think being able to get the most important, like the core part of a website or whatever I'm writing about. That was something that I learned as an English major, analyzing books and authors and bringing together all these different ideas. But I think something that's different is just the brevity that you need to write for the internet. We do like 2 sentences, maybe 3 sentences per paragraph, and you have to just kind of be very concise and kind of understanding that people want to skim these a lot more. And so, yeah, and a lot more keywords. We do a lot of keyword research in internet writing. And sometimes you'll have like a quota of keywords that you have to put or something like that, just depending on what kind of article it is. So that is definitely a learned skill that every day, 5 days a week at first, now 4 days a week. And just always being able to come up with new thoughts and new ideas and new ways to say the same thing, kind of. So yeah, I think being an English major like kind of trains you to a way of thinking and a way of like I don't know, breaking down information and coming up with like unique ideas from someone else's idea. And so, yeah, that.
Great. And I had a follow-up question about what you were asking or what you were saying about keywords, because this is something that, I don't think we're very familiar with in our line of work and writing. So can you talk about what are keywords? Where do these things come from? And how do you hit quotas of keywords in your writing? What does that actually mean?
Yeah. Our process at Digital Brands changes a lot as to this, trying to figure out like the kind of secret sauce. So there are different kind of widgets or websites out there that'll kind of generate keywords based off whatever search query you're going for. Like if I was going for like romantic quotes for him or something like that, then it would probably give me like romantic quotes and couples and dating and all these just kind of related in the same kind of thought bubble of if someone searches for this, they might also search for this kind of thing. And so, yeah, different ones will give you how many times you should put it in the article, and we like to spread it out. And sometimes it'll even give you a word count, depending on what the word count for other queries are. And yeah, it can get pretty detailed depending on which tool you're using. And we try to use as many as we can. Yeah, so you just want a lot of related searches because Google looks for kind of a whole topic. It wants to know that you covered the topic in as many ways as people want to know it, basically. So yeah, we try to get a good comprehensive subject matter. So yeah, and then yeah, but it also has to be good to the reader. It's a dual audience. You have to make sure that it looks good to the reader, but it also kind of hits those targets that the algorithm is going to look for. Because if a reader goes to it and clicks right back, Google knows that that's a bad article. So you kind of have to walk that double line of, yeah, we have 2 audiences basically. So we want the search engines to like us, and we want the readers to get something out of it too. And the more unique content we can have, the better it is for the reader. So we do a lot of storytelling. I do a lot of storytelling on dating advice, particularly, just to bring more of a authoritative but also relatable voice that I think helps put a face to the internet, right? Like on the internet itself, we have all these articles all the time, and if I can make it seem like this was written by a person, I think that's more compelling to a person. And Google kind of picks up on that when people stay longer on your article, which we also, we keep track of. So that's always good for the ego when you see an article that it has an average click time of 3 seconds and you spend all day on it. But as long as it gets people where they need to go.
Tripti, go ahead. You had a question?
Yes. Hi. First, thank you. This is really interesting and useful. So thank you very much, Amber. And I hope I am not cutting out, but if I am, let me know and I'll try doing something differently. So I have 2 questions, but I'll start with one. And if others have no questions to follow up with, then I'll go with my second. Could you talk a little bit about what your next professional step could be or would look like? So in terms of 5 years from now, 2 years from now, what does your professional landscape look like to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think that if I could stay with digital brands the whole time, I definitely would. But you never know with startups, they change all the time. And I think they've made it clear that they would like to keep me too. So I'll probably stay with them for a little bit longer. But if I had to move, I think I would just be a freelance writer, like legitimately just offer my services to different blogs, people I've written about before. Probably join like Fiverr, Upwork, any of those are really good for freelancers. That's where we've gotten our freelancers. And it just gives you a lot of flexibility. And you can make as much as you write, basically. So if you want to write a lot, you can make a lot. Some of our freelancers, I know they write for different sites than us, and we pay them a lot of money just for us. Like it can be anywhere from $150 to $300 per article, just depending. And some are paid by word, so that varies. But you can make a really good living just writing if you know the places to go and the people to talk to, and just kind of put yourself out there. Like it's not steady because it does vary, but I think that it would kind of fit my needs. And that's what I would go to, because it would just give me the flexibility. Because my office was we would be in office every day before COVID, and we've only been remote during this kind of strange time. And so the plan is for them to go back to the office, and I don't know if that's my plan. So yeah, it's just the remote flexibility has been really nice to have. Just like I live in Florida, but right now I'm in California, and you can kind of just go where you please as long as you get your work done. So yeah, I think that's a really good perk that I'm not going to give up. Was there a follow-up question, I think?
I do. I wasn't sure because for a split second the video had paused, so I wasn't sure if my internet was being sketchy and you were continuing to talk, so I didn't want to be rude and say, well, that's very helpful, thank you. But it is very helpful, thank you. So the follow-up question was about, you had mentioned once before that the input-output dynamic is pretty dynamic and flexible, but also there can be some uncertainty in terms of how much work there might be or how much demand there is. So how do you manage that uncertainty in your work life?
Yeah, I think that you just have to have a little bit of hustle. That's always what I find. Like with my freelancers, sometimes they'll have room for more, and they'll ask me, and they'll just say like, hey, do you have another article? And if they're a good, reliable person, like I can find something for them usually. So yeah, it just takes, I think consistency is a good thing too. Like, you can get in the door with talent, but the consistent freelancers are the ones who we love and we want to keep. And so I think if as a writer you can just turn things in on time is a really big thing in the freelance world, and just doing that is will put you worlds above everyone else. So yeah, I think that just having the hustle and like putting a lot of feelers out there, having multiple streams of income is a good strategy to kind of weather the ups and downs that you're going to see. It's like owning a business. You know, it's going to be a little bit flexible, but if you're flexible with it, you know, I think you can make a good living. I see another question come in. How does this job compare to what kind of job you thought you wanted as undergraduate? And what are the benefits and drawbacks of working for a startup? Yeah, as an undergraduate, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I thought maybe I could teach. I thought maybe I could be on a campaign. I did campaigning for a little while, and that was really fun. But I think I always really loved to write, and I always thought that if I could make a living writing, that would be kind of a dream. That I didn't know if I could do it, but it was just something that I felt like I would be good at. And so, yeah, I think that following what you're good at, what you're passionate about, is a really important thing when seeking a career. Because if you don't love something, you're not going to be able to put in the work, or you're not going to enjoy it. And so that's no good. And I think that enjoying what you do really kind of changes the quality of what you do, and people can tell. So yeah, the benefits of working for a startup is like we got free lunches, we played games after lunch, we would, you know, we were really close. We had Halloween costumes, we had giant parties every year. You know, the startup atmosphere is like casual, but also kind of demanding, because it relies a lot on you to be productive, to keep it going. You know, especially when it was only 10 of us, you know, that's a heavy responsibility on every individual. And so we're trying to grow to kind of lessen the burden on every individual. So yeah, startups are fun. They're also not without challenges. You know, I think they have the fun stuff there to kind of keep people engaged, because there are high expectations in terms of productivity, and like they can't afford to have someone who's not productive on the team. That being said, we're very picky about who we hire at DB. So since I've been there, they've fired maybe 2 people, and everyone else just moved on to other things. But yeah, it's transient, and the most successful people are like really fun, but also kind of they work hard. They put their heads down, and you know, we get stuff done. And that's something we kind of pride ourselves on, is that we work hard, we play hard. So someone asked, is SEO something you have experience with? What are good ways to learn about that? Does that relate to the keywords? Yes. Yeah, we are an SEO company. We very much have that kind of mentality going at articles. I didn't know a lot about it. Now I know a lot about it because yeah, we do study it. I mean, you can find out a lot online. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of myths that get started about SEO, and we've kind of figured it out based on seeing what happens to our sites. You know, we have 6 sites, so we're able to experiment a little bit about which articles have succeeded and which haven't, and like why. So we've kind of gotten our own like mojo going with the SEO, and yeah, it's just basically about trust. Google's trying to figure out who is trustworthy on the internet, and yeah, to be trustworthy, you just have to do trustworthy things, and so that's what we try to do as best we can. But then we get a lot of untrustworthy people trying to work with us sometimes. And so that's the challenge of the internet is, you know, there's a lot of people out there and everyone wants to work with you. And sometimes it's to your benefit. Sometimes it is not. So that's what we found out, you know, writing a million articles all the time. But yeah, our sites don't have ads or affiliate links. So it's just all through kind of organic traffic. And well, I shouldn't say I don't have affiliate links because some articles do, but yeah, it's mostly organic traffic that kind of drives us forward. And we see site-wide or across all 6 sites, I think we see like 2 million views a month. Dating Advice is the biggest. It sees 300,000 views a month right now. And yeah, I was just saying that we have to compete with the world. As an internet company, we write articles, and we're not, you know, obviously we're not the only ones writing articles on the internet. So yeah, it's constantly about recency bias and just like, I don't know, authority. We're trying to build authority. So yeah, it's very challenging, but we've been doing pretty well so far. So yeah, it's a good company to work for. I enjoy my work. Someone asked, are there any specific interdisciplinary skills or classes that you recommend English majors looking into for future jobs? Thinking about SEO, HTML, that sort of thing. Yeah, if I had been in an SEO class in college, that would have been great and really would have helped me acclimate to the environment a little bit faster. As far as interdisciplinary, I mean, yeah, I think I think you should follow your interests. You know, if you have kind of a curiosity about something, I would do that all the time as a student. I would just kind of go and see like what the philosophy class is like or what the astronomy class is like. And it's just kind of expanding your own world a little bit. And, you know, it's always going to make you a more well-rounded person, and well-rounded people do well. You know, they bring a lot to the table. You know, you want to specialize, but I think it's important to kind of be curious and explore different things as well. So, how do you get promoted from writer to editor? Can writers and editors make good money in the startup world? Would you recommend this path for English majors? Yeah, so I've been at Digital Brands for 6 years, and that makes me one of the more senior people there. And so kind of working my way up is just a matter of waiting out other people who want to do something else. And yeah, I think that they know that I'm kind of consistent and willing to take on whatever. So yeah, I've gone from writing store descriptions as a contractor to getting on salary to being the senior writer for Dating Advice, Dating News, and right now I'm editor-in-chief of both those sites. I run every bit of content goes through me before it gets published. And yeah, I think it's really fulfilling. It's been really kind of interesting and unexpected because I didn't think that I would stay this long at a startup. But I think that they really reward people who kind of invest their time in it. And I make almost 5 times as much as when I started. So it's definitely been a rewarding experience, and not just, you know, for the money, but for kind of the like culture and the experience, and yeah, getting to do something that I love to do every day. Yeah, that's been the best part for me. So yeah, and I would recommend this path for English majors. You know, if you love to write and you love to read, you know, the internet pretty much has an insatiable need for that. So yeah, if you can kind of I don't know, be flexible to the waves of it, I do think that there's a lot of opportunity out there. You know, I've seen writers who've worked for us like have a really good solid career based off of that. And you know, I think as a freelance writer, it's just like an appealing gig because you only need your keyboard and you can do it on your own time. And yeah, I think it's worked out.
So Amber, we had talked outside of this about your company is actually hiring currently. So I wondered if you could speak about that briefly for us. Like if we're a student graduating in the spring with a BA in English, what do we need to do to apply to to your job specifically, or to similar jobs in this sector?
Yeah, we're hiring right now. I don't know if we'll still be hiring in spring, but we probably will be. Honestly, we're always kind of looking for writer talent. So if you want to apply to digital brands specifically, you can go to our website/careers. I think the application is hr@digitalbrands.com, and we'll just take a resume and then kind of put you through the interview process from there. Yeah, I think most companies are shifting to that, where they don't really need a lot from you. Like when I was applying around, it was like, here, fill out this form and give me a resume and do a cover letter. I haven't seen as much of that recently. So thanks for putting the link in there, Emily. Yeah, so for our process, you would submit a resume and then we would do an interview. And instead of a writing sample, we started doing a trial article that we would actually publish, and kind of put you through that kind of pace of, because we do an outline and then it goes through 2 editors before it gets published. So you kind of get to experience that a little bit and see if it's good fit for you and for us. And then we do a second interview, which is a culture fit. And yeah, I would say that the article is, by far the most important part for us of figuring out like if it's going to be a good relationship and like a good working relationship. That's important too. It's not just about the words on the page. It's about your relationship with the editors and how you get feedback and incorporate the feedback. And that's just really important because we work so closely together. So yeah, ZipRecruiter is a very good resource. Indeed is a really good resource for job hunting. Monster.com is how I found my current job. And I think it's good to have kind of feelers on every job search site that you can, because that's just going to up your chances of getting the right job. Because you don't want to go for like the first job that gives you an interview. You kind of want to make sure that you're going to be in a good place with good people. I think it's worth holding out, I guess, for like the good job that's going to be right for you, like whatever is most important to you. So yeah, if you want to work at Digital Brands, it's a very fun atmosphere. And we do take freelancers pretty much all the time. We'll try out a freelancer and give them an article just to see how they do. And then the ones that we kind of keep consistently are the ones who are able to do 3 to 4 articles a week for us and always turn it in on time, always respond to our edits quickly. So those kinds of things are just going to really put you out of the pack, honestly, because it's just hard to find reliable freelancers. So that's something that we've kind of seen on our side as trying to like give people money for work, and it's funny that some people don't always want the money. But yeah, so if you can just be a consistent, hardworking, good to talk to person, like that's really valuable and kind of rare. So yeah, I think applying as many places as you can is going to be good, and you're going to get better at interviews like the more you do them. Yeah, that was like when I was interviewing, I remember I would get kind of similar questions, and over time I just kind of got my answers down for them, like what was one? It would be like, what didn't you like about your last employer that you're looking for in your next employer? Or what, I don't know. Yeah, just a lot of like, what are you looking for? And I think for me, I didn't know what I was looking for at the time, and going through interviews helped me think about it a little bit more. Um, and so that's also just a really interesting part of job interviews is you have a little time for introspection, a little bit. And yeah, I think that just being someone who knows who you are and what you want stands out also.
In response to that question, because that is one of those interview questions that a lot of people get, and it can take you off guard, especially if this is your first time you've been asked that. So what, as a person who does some of these interviews, what are you looking for in a response to that question that would put someone ahead of the pack?
Yeah, this actually happens a lot where people get too negative about their last employer, and that's a huge red flag to us. That I mean, maybe their last employer was like the devil, I don't know, but you know, if you see a pattern of someone kind of trashing their employer, you don't want to be their next employer. It's like talking about an ex. You know, you want to be a little more civil and just be like, oh, it wasn't a good fit for this reason, not yeah, people get too negative sometimes in that question, and they kind of uh, yeah, it sends up kind of warning signs to us that maybe they're not going to be happy with any employer, or maybe, I mean, if we think we can solve whatever problem they had at the last employer, like that's good and that's fine. But you know, a lot of the times jobs are jobs, and so yeah, having a positive attitude, or someone who seems more yeah, positive, solution oriented, appreciative. I mean, if you had a bad job, like that happens. But I think kind of spinning it to be a little more, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes people complain too much. And I think that suckers them a little bit, because for, especially for us, what we look for is someone who's going to be like a team player and going to build us up, because we only have
We are nearing the end, and I've asked a lot of questions. I just want to make sure, does anyone else have any, maybe one or two final questions for our speaker tonight? I want to make sure I give everyone a chance.
Emily asked how many employees do I have? Oh no, Brooke K asked that. Sorry. We have I think it's 14. We just hired 2 people. So I think we have 14 right now of in-house full salaried employees. And then we have, I want to say like 15 freelancers probably, who are like regulars, and then probably another 10 who are backup freelancers. And so yeah, I think that's pretty much our team. And yeah, it's a small company, but we do a lot of good work. And you know, those of us who have been here, some of them have been there 10 years together. I've only been there 6, but you know, we get really close together, and yeah, we've had a lot of fun together. So we always try to welcome new people and make sure that they feel like they're part of the family too. But it's definitely important to us to have the right kind of vibe for the team, because yeah, we work closely together, and it's important to have everyone enjoying their work, because that's going to motivate them to work harder. So that's kind of what we're a positive motivation company, you know, like big bonuses and big parties, and now we have Fridays off, so that's been really great. And but yeah, it's like a carrot, and then you want to keep the carrot, so you have to work hard, kind of thing. So yeah, so they'll give you carrots, but they'll expect you to write, like I was writing like 2,000 words a day. So yeah, it can burn you out a little bit sometimes, but then you know, there's like a party, and then you feel better. So that's the joy of startup life.
I did want to ask you about the writing of these articles, especially, you know, from a salaried position or from a freelance position. when you have an article, so when a freelancer like comes to you and say, hey, I want some work, are they're not coming to you with an article that they want to write, is that right? So how does the content creation like go?
Yeah, I mean, some people do come to me with like a blanket, like I want to write about these topics or something. But those are a little bit of red flags that they might be trying to get their own, like they might have their own agenda a little bit, or it might not be unique content. So we don't do those. We always assign a keyword sometimes if it's like we have different types of content, but like for freelancers, it'll probably be a keyword that we give them, and then we give them like the list of related keywords for them to put in, and they'll send back an outline of what they think based on their research would be good, and then we, probably edit their outline a little bit to make sure that like the FAQs look right and the order is right. If it's a list, the order is very important to us. So yeah, we'll probably have our own kind of thoughts on it. And then they write it, we do the edits, give the edits back to them, and then we back end it and post it. So yeah, I've heard from the freelancers that our process is more edit heavy than they're used to. So I think other sites, you might just like send them an article and then see it up the next day or something. It just, yeah, depends, but that's not how we do it. We have 2 editors who work on these things. And yeah, and if it's an interview, that's another content type we have where I'm interviewing people or getting quotes from them, that kind of thing. I'll send them that and they'll outline the article based on an interview. And those we don't do as much keyword. I mean, we do some, but not as heavy into keywords for those because our goal is different. So yeah, for those, they would, if that one is a little bit more like a journalist article, you're kind of doing more of, this is what the company does, this is what they said, this is the new feature, this is the whatever news is going on. So, but basically the same kind of, we do, we give them the assignment, they give us an outline, we give them edits, they give us an article, we give them edits, then we have an article. And so, yeah, that process sometimes takes 3 weeks, sometimes takes a month. If they can get it back to us really quickly, then we love them and we try to use them the most because yeah, freelancers have a lot going on. So a lot of times edits will take a little bit to come back.
All right. Well, it looks like, unless I see one come in while I'm wrapping up, that we may have reached the questions that we have at the moment. But if you do have any more questions that you'd like to ask Amber in the future, you can contact me, and I can get you all in touch with each other. If you are interested in applying for a job like this, I think it's a great fit. Sounds like a wonderful place for English major to start. Yeah, I just want to thank Amber again for taking time out of her busy life, busy editing work, to speak with us. And thanks all of y'all for coming out. Yeah, we'll see y'all again next time.